Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Sociology Analytica. This is Pooja Prasanna, your sociology faculty. So, today we'll be discussing the third question in Durkheim. The question is that Durkheim's approach to sociology was unique for its precise definition, acute observation of social facts and logic. So, this is a statement. So, I have already given a statement. So, using this statement, so analyzing this statement in the wake of what? Landmark study of suicide. So, basically there's a statement, and how you have to analyze this statement? You have to analyze this statement from his study of suicide. Okay. Uh, so, in this what you have to do is basically you have to write the content. How did he study suicide? Okay, how did he study suicide? What is the definition, the precise definition he gave for suicide, the approach he took for suicide, and the certain observations he took for suicide, and how did he collect the data for his suicide. Okay, what was the logic behind how he studied suicide. Okay, so these are the things what you have to write. See, the cues are there in the question itself, in the statement itself. That is, Durkheim's approach to sociology was unique. How it was unique? For his precise definition, observation, social facts, and logic. So these are the four cues what is there in the question itself. Using that, you have to study suicide. Okay, so it's a 10 marker question. It's a 150 word. That means you have to write around 150 words. Fine. How you will be starting your introduction? So you can start your introduction with Durkheim's. Why did Durkheim want to study suicide? Okay, like what was the what did he study? So if you start with this, so this would be more appropriate for this context, for the question context. So what I've done is Durkheim study of suicide. Why did he study? In order to establish suicide as a social fact and correlating it with the nature and degree of social integration. So two things he was always concerned. Okay, be it any topic he has studied, two things he was always concerned. The first thing, he was concerned about social fact, that is establishing anything as social fact, one thing, and also he was concerned about social integration or social solidarity. So anything whatever he studied, he tried to understand from the social integration perspective also. So this is why he studied suicide. And then it was also his first serious attempt for what? To establish empiricism in sociology. And then you can go on to define what is suicide. Okay, you can go on to define what is suicide. See, for this particular definition of suicide, what I would suggest you is to give an actual definition of suicide, whatever is given by Durkheim himself. Don't give a generalized definition. Please try to by heart the definition, and please try to write the definition of suicide which is given by Durkheim himself. So how has he defined suicide? As any case of death caused by directly or indirectly, positive or negative, or by positive or negative action of the victim himself, which he knows will produce this result. Here this result is what? Death. Death is the result. Okay. So after writing this definition, see, it's a 10 marker question. Remember this, you cannot write too much of content. You cannot keep on explaining the definition itself. Write the definition, move forward. Okay. Moving forward with how he has understood, or how he has experimented, or how he has analyzed suicide, that will be writing, okay, in a summarized format. So next, what Durkheim did, his aim was what was his aim? His aim was not to understand individual suicide tendency. Okay, he did not wanted to study from the psychological perspective. He wanted to study from sociological perspective. So what he did, his aim was to explain the irregularities which was found in different social current. That is, in this context, specifically in the rate of suicide. Okay, he was more concerned about the rate of suicide, irregular rate of suicide in different parts of society, or among the different group of society. He wanted to understand this rather than why individuals will commit suicide. Okay, so in order to understand this, what did he do? He took the data from police record from all across Europe at different time period. Okay, this is how he collected the data. And why did he take this data? In order to show that there is no positive correlation. After taking this data, he did some analysis of this data. After doing the analysis, he also proved that there was no positive correlation between rate of suicide and other non-sociological facts, because previous to this, suicide was actually explained through other non-sociological facts like temperature, race, alcoholism, insanity, etc., etc. But then Durkheim tried after analyzing this data from police record, he proved that there is no as such correlation between rate of suicide and then non-sociological factors. Further, he tried to explore the cause of suicide. Okay, after analyzing the correlation between non-sociological factors, he tried to understand or explore the causal relation or the cause of suicide. By what? By the statistical techniques. Okay, by statistical techniques, he uses statistical techniques. This is important. See, few things are very important. This positive correlation, this is important, this is important. So all these points are very important. You should write these points and you should write these keywords also. So using statistical technique, and he found a concomitant relation. See, this keyword is also very much important. You have to write, because these are the keywords, these are the techniques which was used by Durkheim himself. So he found a concomitant relation between what? Between the rate of suicide and different social variables. Okay, so after finding correlation between non-social variables and rate of suicide, he tries to understand the correlation between rate of suicide and social variables. Like what? Like marital status, gender, religion, etc., etc. See, if you have enough space, you can write in detail, not too much in detail, at least you can give one or two detail you can write. See, in marital status, so men will be, that is married men will be committing more suicide as compared to married women. Among gender also, men will be committing more suicide as compared to women. Okay, among religion, especially he talks about Christianity. So Catholics will be committing less suicide as compared to Protestants. So like this, you can give one or two, three variables, and you can talk about their correlation. After this, what you can do? After this, what he did? He further undertook a multivariate analysis. So this is also important keyword. This is one technique what he has used. Okay, after doing this concomitant relation, that is correlation to find the concomitant relation, he further undertook a multivariate analysis to establish concomitant relation between all these. Okay, so basically for example, first initially he did only for one variable, one social variable. After that, what he did a multivariate analysis. For example, he did multivariate analysis of gender and marital status. Okay, by keeping, let's say, Catholic religion as stagnant. We'll keep religion as stagnant, or we'll fix religion, and then we will change these two variables. This is nothing but multivariate analysis. I'm pretty sure you know by now, you would be knowing what is multivariate analysis. So he also did a multivariate analysis for rate of suicide and then social factors. Okay, so after doing all these things, on the basis of causal relation between suicide rate and the social variables, Durkheim what he concludes, that suicide is a social phenomena. Okay, suicide is a social phenomena. It is not actually a psychological phenomena. Okay, see, what I say is that, as this is a 10 marker question, you can actually stop your answer from here. Okay, this basically sort of explains what is suicide, how suicide will be conducted, not how suicide will be conducted. He actually explains that through using different techniques, how we can understand suicide in society. And by using these techniques, he also tries to tell that suicide is not a psychological fact, or suicide is not any other fact. Suicide is purely a sociological fact. See, here you can actually end your answer. Suppose, let's say, the question is more than 10 marker. Okay, suppose let's say the question is more than 10 marker, then you can go to bit of suicidogenic forces. Okay, you can go to suicidogenic forces. So using suicidogenic forces, that is, there is two type of forces. One is forces of integration. Okay, also that is basically he'll be talking about 4 type of suicide. Okay, you must have studied about 4 type of suicide. See, these things you can write in case if the question is more than 10 marker. But what I suggest you is, as the question is not more than 10 marker, please don't write, because this itself is going to fill your answer. This is more than sufficient. See, in this question, and also look at the question is not, they are not concerned about what? They are not concerned about the types. They are concerned about the method. So you can just write a passing comment of suicidogenic forces, and thus further 4 type of suicide. Okay, that is suicidogenic forces. There are 2 type of suicidogenic forces: forces of integration. Okay, that you can write, but then please, forces of integration and forces of regulation, that you can write, but then don't write too much about 4 types of suicide. That is not required, because it has been not asked in the question. Okay, did you understand? In case if you have any further query, please drop them in your comment section. And tomorrow I'll be starting with Weber. Okay, and in Weber also I may include Durkheim, I may include Karl Marx, I may include something else also. So be prepared to face such questions. Okay, thank you all. I'll see you all tomorrow.